Well, because we're talking about vitamin D and inflammation, I was on quite a bit in the beginning because I was so low.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then we backed off and then added in 1 drop a day. So, because I keep wanting to talk to you about this but then I think, oh, my blood work will be in any day. And then it's not. And so I don't talk to you about it. But for the last month or so, um, it's not like I've gone all the way back, but I've had a little more trouble with my eye.
Mm-hmm.
And so, it's like it makes me think, okay, my sleep's pretty good. I mean, always there are things I can tweak, but I think, was I taking more of something in the beginning than I am now? And it makes me think about vitamin D. I don't know. But in any case, it got really bad Thursday, Friday. And I actually had an appointment with the vitreoretinal specialist today, and I canceled it because yesterday and this morning I was better. So I was thankful because I really don't want to go and hear again, your eye looks great. I'm not seeing what you're seeing.
Yeah.
Because that's what this is. So I didn't go. But in any case, because I don't know when my blood work will be done, I was like, well, I'll just mention it to you. And because I don't know if something as easy as bumping up my vitamin D will help, or I just don't know.
Yeah.
So,
Let's see. I'm trying to pull it up and see if there's a D there. We don't have it. So the likelihood, well, because I know you and your history in the past and the goals we've been going after, in your specific case, I would add some back. Say add. Are you still doing 1 a day?
mm-hmm.
So add 2 more. So go to 3.
Okay.
And see how you do.
Okay.
And we'll get, we can get an updated number. But that's specific to MS, like I talked about a few minutes ago. That could easily be
right.
it. And again, here's a good point for Karen. We had a goal for Jennifer. We met it. We backed down, and then from there, we're trying to dial in what's a maintenance dose for Jennifer to keep her in the range we want to stay in. Right. Yeah. So we had to super dose her to get her up because no one could ever move her D. We got her there. Then we back off and say, okay, let's do this lower dose for a time and retest. So we can say, okay, at that retest point, we see, oh, you stayed relatively the same. That's a good maintenance dose. Or if you fell way back, that's not enough for you. Okay. Right. So then we can dial it in more. So we don't have that yet but we have symptomatology, and D is relatively safe, and plus we know her case. So go ahead and add it back.
Okay. I appreciate that, because I thought, I'm not doing everything that I did in the beginning, and what I did in the beginning got me driving after 3.5 weeks. So
yeah.
So I just wanted to ask, because I don't want to sit on it. I'm not near as bad. I just know it's not the same.
Yeah, but you're still driving and reading?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's get on it now. And it's a good lesson for everybody is, if you have a question, either ask it on here or call or email. I know we're waiting for labs, so I understand why you waited, but health, this whole thing, that's why I say optimal instead of cure, right? Because we're not going to cure, because cure would be, destination, whereas health's more of a journey. It's going to fluctuate. So optimal is we shoot for optimal, and then we figure out how to stay there. But we understand that we're going to flare. There's going to be, life happens, right? So bring it up. Let's bring it up and address it sooner than later.
And that's what I was telling myself all weekend. And I don't feel like if I'm not doing great, it's like I can't be disappointed in that, because everything else is still improving.
Yeah.
Everything else is still improving.
Yeah.
So, but I thought, you know what? We've talked about that. I can't cure this. So I'm going to have these things happen, but you just have to.
Well, so Jennifer wasn't on the call last week, but she emailed me after she watched it, and she said, "Genes load the gun, environment pulls the trigger." That should be a T-shirt, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I agree. So the T-shirt for this week is "There's no failure, only feedback." Okay. So you don't beat yourself up and say anything about this. It's just, okay, I'm noticing some eye stuff. You did the right thing and did a self-inventory. Well, what's changed, right? Oh, we dropped my D down. maybe it's that. D's correlated with MS severity and blah, blah, blah. Makes total sense. So that's the feedback you want to take from that situation. So don't let it beat you down and be like, man, we've come so far and now I'm losing it. No, you'll lose it if you sulk like that. But if you're like,
Exactly.
you didn't, you said, well, what can I learn from this? Oh,
Mhm.
we've come off here. So that's what we're doing, is we're trying to co-create with you guys the lifestyle that here's what I did to get here. I understand what I did to get here. I want to continue doing these things, but if I have a flare or a setback, I'm now armed with, okay, here's what I know I should be doing, and I've been doing it. So what's changed because I haven't changed the lifestyle?
Right.
Maybe we pulled out supplements because labs looked good or whatever, and you didn't need those anymore. Or maybe all that's the same, but there's some exposure that you don't realize you're having, or there's an exposure that you know you're having, but you didn't think is that big a deal, but it's a bigger deal for you, sort of thing. So this is instead of trial and error, trial and success, right? It's like, okay, we're getting better with each trial, but we realize that trials come.
Yep. It's complicated.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's the way it is.
That's why a 7-minute visit hasn't helped you guys.
That's right. Right. Yeah.
All right. What else? Good. Thank you. That's a good little nugget there.
Thanks.
That was worth the call.
That was worth the call.
We had talked about before Thanksgiving about what people were doing and different foods and things like that. And I was wondering, I'm confused on the ancestral diet when people talk about using gluten-free bread or, a cracker they like or something like that. A lot of the gluten-free breads and things like that are made with rice flour and grains. And I was wondering what's the take on that?
Anyone want to go before me?
Yeah. Sure.
Get it.
When we try to focus on grain-free, gluten-free, all the other frees, I find very few products that I actually think qualify for ancestral eating, as far as when you start looking at the breads and the crackers and all of that stuff. And it's difficult because, like you said, Karen, rice flour, can you eat rice? And then there's a ton of gluten-free stuff out there that's corn. Like, well, I'm not eating corn, so this doesn't count, but it makes it very difficult. But there are some stuff, and there are some things that I have found. There's a brand called Simple Mills, and it doesn't use any grains or any gluten or any dairy or anything like that. And they have muffin mixes and crackers and even an artisan bread mix and a pizza crust. And I've tried some of those.
You didn't say almond flour.
No, but they use like almond flour and cassava flour and those kind of things. And so that brand I have found to be the closest to, if I were to be ancestrally minded and go out there and bust almonds on a stone or whatever, then their ingredients are minimal, and everything that we've had is really good. And so I just kept looking until I found that, because you're right, it's difficult.
So what did you make for Thanksgiving?
So I made my own pumpkin pie, my own special needs pumpkin
Yeah.
pie.
So she used the almond flour crust for
Yeah.
that. And
Yeah.
Yum.
Yeah. So
Okay, because right now I'll pay $50 for a bowl of oatmeal right now, because that's where I'm at.
right? Yeah.
Yeah, it's like I'm jonesing in the morning. It's like
Yeah.
like I'm a New England girl.
Yeah.
That's what we eat, and
Sure.
it's really hard. So
Yeah.
I hear you.
Yeah, I would look at that brand. I get that brand. I can get it through Amazon, which I hate, but I do it. And for the Fresh Market and stuff. But Thrive Market has a lot of their products. And I love Thrive Market because the prices are cheaper and you have a lot of good choices there. So
And a lot of products would say, because paleo's the best known ancestral diet, Karen.
Yeah.
So a lot of products will say Paleo Approved or something like that.
Yeah.
I know there's a coconut flour bread that I had early on that it might even be called Paleo bread. I don't remember now. But yeah, if you focus on the nut-based stuff, It's good. I gave you last week Alana's Pantry. She does a lot of recipes with almond flour for muffins and breads and things like that.
Her stuff is great.
Yeah. So it's out there. You just have to realize that anything that's good, America's going to take and, say moderation or something and mess it up. So
my co-host brought me the box for the prop.
Oh,
Oh,
nice.
okay.
There you go. I don't know. It's probably looking reversed. I'm not sure, but
Well, plus these aren't prescriptions, so I
and I
got to get
know you're
really
not-
close.
I know, but there's
Okay,
all
thank
kinds.
you.
You're welcome. But tapioca starch, cassava flour. They're very minimal ingredients, and I love it.
And Karen, actually on Thrive, I don't know if it's that brand or not, but I've had the cassava flour pasta, and it's awesome. I think I had penne noodles, but it's cassava flour. It's not. There's nothing grain about it. Cassava is a root vegetable, but it's penne, and it was amazing. Like I was eating them cold and like rubbery, and they were still good.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
if you're jonesing, if you're jonesing for that pasta dish, if it's cassava flour or almond flour or one of those acceptable ones, go for it.
Yep.
Here's something she might like.
Ooh.
Cassava strips, sea salt.
So those are
That's
chips?
just like a snack?
These are chips. The only thing in it is cassava, non-hydrogenated palm oil, and sea salt.
There you go.
And that's it. And they're quite tasty.
Okay.
But I also have a recipe for grain-free breadsticks.
Ooh.
I would rather make something from scratch than buy a mix. It's very easy. It's water and oil, arrowroot or tapioca, Italian seasoning, garlic flour, salt, baking powder. You're supposed to put Parmesan in it, but since I can't have cheese, I just left it out the last time I made it, and it was fine. And then you also add 1 egg and 1/3 cup of coconut flour. And you don't even have to roll it out. Just press it down. I can send you the recipe and you can forward it to these gals if you like.
Yeah, please do. Please do.
Well, thank you. That would be helpful. That's good.
I've got to have, like you.
I haven't had anything cassava based that wasn't delicious. There's another brand, Siete, Siete, and they have cassava flour taco shells, and I believe they had the quesadillas too. They were delicious. And those are on Thrive. So Siete, I think, and they have chips too, I believe.
I didn't find a lot of stuff on Thrive, and I think it was $50 a year to join, and then of course there's shipping.
Yeah.
They charge shipping on everything. That's probably why I make stuff from scratch.
You can try Vitacost. Vitacost is free and they have discounted health stuff.
Oh, do they?
I think they're out of
emails from
Florida.
them.
Yeah, Vitacost.
I never pay for shipping on Thrive because I usually order over $49 of stuff every time, so I get free shipping. So there is that you could do.
Yeah, stock up.
Yeah.
Buy all the noodles.
All the noodles.
Well, you know what I've noticed? I am a week in, and I am coming from a low FODMAP start. Just to the Reader's Digest, I got hit with this IBS, and it took me down to like 105 pounds, and I couldn't eat anything. And so when I got on low FODMAP, I started to rebuild. And now that I'm a week into the paleo, I'm finding that, and this is really strange, I feel like I'm losing weight because I'm not filling it with prepackaged gluten-free stuff. I'm losing weight, but I am able, and I'm only a week in, I am able to eat things that I had trouble eating before. I can't sit down and eat a salad. It's like too much fiber going through my poor digestive system. And so I'd have to like do green smoothies or whatever. Well, I bought a salad chopper, and it looks like a pizza cutter with two wheels on it. And it helps break up it's chopped salad anyway. And it's a thing. And so I made a chopped salad, and I thought, oh boy, I'm gonna pay for this. I ate that salad, and I was like, wow, I had a salad. Yeah, I'm only a week in. So it's like my sleeping stinks. The sleeping, I don't know what's happened. My sleeping is stink, but I ate a whole salad. I can eat a whole apple now. I wasn't able to do that before.
Yay!
Awesome.
I know.
Yay.
I can't believe it. So
That's a great start. So just keep building momentum like we talked about last week, right? And
yeah.
it's super exciting when you're a week in and you actually get the world throws you a carrot like that, because you're probably braced for, I'm not going to feel good for 5 weeks, right? So when you get that nugget early, it's like, okay, cool, let's do this. So
Yeah.
awesome. Congrats.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Great.
Yep.
What else?
I
Mary,
think your liver cleanse pills are really getting to me.
You like those?
No, not anymore.
You will. You will
You
eventually.
will.
You already.
Mary, I'm surprised you didn't chime in on the gluten-free thing. I know you found a lot of different.
I did, but I found my first thing I didn't like the other night. And I'm like, what, 12 weeks? I was really wanting some ice cream, and they've all been eating ice cream in my house. And I went and got some, and I thought I was going to puke it back up. I did not like it. I was so excited, and it wasn't what I was expecting.
Ice cream is yummy.
And so I was like, man, but everything else I've been making, I've liked. That's the first thing.
What was it?
It was the cookie dough ice cream, the dairy-free kind.
Okay.
And it's like dairy. I don't even know I think I might have threw it away. It was that bad. And normally I don't throw it away. I try to fight through it, but I couldn't fight through it.
Wow. It was probably Halo Top then.
No. Let me see if I can find it.
That stuff's nasty.
Oh,
I
the
bought,
So Delicious.
Oh,
That's the one I bought last week and threw out.
really?
It was
But
so delicious.
the
They
Is that
must
the
have,
coconut?
all these things I've tried, I've
they must
loved.
have had a bad batch, because I love the So Delicious.
I like the So Delicious too. I don't get.
But have you had the cookie dough?
I won't do that because I don't know.
No, because, well, so look on here's 1 second, Mary, but this is good because what we can do is say, oh, we're buying a coconut milk ice cream. This is good for me. And then the cookie dough or the brownie bits end up having wheat in them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when you do that, you have to make sure you're reading the back and look at what's the cookie or the brownie made out of, because they might have wheat. So you want it to be
Oh, okay.
as well.
I did
Okay.
the vanilla unsweetened, and it was terrible.
Huh.
I think I had that one too.
Yogurt.
Yeah, I think I had that too, Danielle. And because of the coconut, it was like eating candle wax.
Oh.
It was weird. It was
Yeah,
very,
it
very
was horrible.
I must be retarded because I love that stuff. I love candle wax. Delicious. Well, if you don't like So Delicious, Trader Joe's actually has a great just chocolate. It's almond milk ice cream, but the chocolate is really good. It's so smooth. It's like silk compared to, I guess, candle wax alternatives. And then Ben and Jerry's actually has dairy-free options as well.
Who was it that recommended the chocolate, the cocoa last 2 weeks ago.
Mary,
Mary did.
I bought it, not the same one, because the one that you had the marshmallow flavor, but I didn't think that much of it. However, I added cacao powder,
Hmm.
and it just wasn't chocolatey enough for me, and that seemed to zip it up.
Nice. Dressed it up a little bit.
But did
Yeah.
you use water or milk or
I use
almond?
everything I do is coconut milk, unsweetened.
Oh, now see, I used it with almond milk, so that might be a little different.
Yeah, I made mashed potatoes once and put almond milk in it. Don't ever do that.
oh, I do it all the time. You just
My
can't use
husband
the
said-
vanilla kind.
My husband goes, "What's different?" And I go, "Oh, I don't know."
Well, actually, I made my little dude some hot chocolate the other day, and we had the clean one too, and we mixed it with the coconut milk, and he finished it and set it. He didn't finish it, but he was done with it, and he set it aside, and I sipped it, and I was like, "This is nasty," and I tip it, and the whole, like, it's all a big glop of stuff on the bottom. He never
bottom.
stirred it, so that's why he gave up on it quick too. So fundamentals, stir it.
Yep. Stir. Don't stop stirring.
That's right.
Right.
Stirred, not shaken.
That's right.
All right, awesome. What else? Anything?
Tips on sleeping. So when you go to bed and you can get to bed, but then you get up to go to the bathroom and then you come back and
You're awake.
like the first 3 hours, 4 hours, good. Come back and then I don't know, like it just falls apart, and that's tough because wow, it affects everything. Everything's tainted the next day, and that's what I'm going through lately. I'm just having horrible sleep. I've religiously worn my cool Bono shades, and so I'm doing that, but yeah, I'm just, and I am going through a tough time right now, but I've been doing for me, what Dr. Bartemus has written out, my protocol. So I've been doing that, and I've been getting to bed by 10:30 latest, maybe on the weekend. I think it was like 11:15, but usually it's 10.
Okay.
Usually it's 10. So I'm good. And then go to the bathroom, and that's it.
Is it always at
I can't get a good quality sleep.
What time is it when you go to the
You
bathroom?
eat all organic?
It's usually around 2 or 3.
When do you stop drinking stuff, Karen? See, that's
9.
what happened to me.
Mhm.
I had to start stopping drinking 2 to 3 hours before I went to bed. So I would stop waking up in the middle of the night to use the bathroom, because that's exactly what was happening to me. So I had to start setting myself up to not have to get up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom. And it really did help me.
Now,
Called an
Karen,
adult.
I'll try that.
It's called an adult
I'll try
potty
that.
training schedule.
Yep.
your vegetables, are they all organic?
No.
Okay. I started eating all organic some years ago. And I used to get up 3 times in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom. And I haven't done it since I switched to organic.
Nice.
I don't know if it made a difference for me. It also took care of the
Interesting.
floaters in my eyes when
Wow.
I went to
Oh,
organic.
that's interesting.
Mhm.
Awesome.
Now that you bring that up, some is better than none, but what if you can't eat all organic?
Yep.
I know you said the dirty dozen and all that stuff, but
You
some
do your
some
best.
of the stuff.
Yep.
You just do
Yeah.
your best. Yep. Veggies are going to be better than no veggies. Unless you watched the person spraying with Roundup right before you bought it, but there's just, at some point we have to do our best, right? So
Yeah.
do your best
Yeah.
there. Another thing that it could be, are you anxious? Are you sweating? Is your heart racing when you're waking up to go to the bathroom at all?
Not when I get up at 2. However, when I go from 2 and I usually get up at 6, it's like when I wake up, I just ran a marathon. I'm exhausted. It's like I'm tired, but I'm not sleepy tired.
Yeah.
Because I was trying to explain it to my mother today. She was asking, because I was like, oh, bad night. If you were to just run a race, you say, I'm tired. And she's like, well, why don't you lay down and take a nap? It's not that kind of tired. You don't feel like laying down asleep. It's
Are you
just
waking
you're
up sweaty?
exhausted. No,
Is your heart racing at all?
not really. It's like this generalized anxiousness.
Okay. So another thing it could be is that your blood sugar is dropping too low overnight. And so if we, in a normal circumstance, you eat dinner, go to bed at 10, say around 1, 2 in the morning, the brain says, because your brain's staying awake, right? You're sleeping, but your brain's awake. It's still doing its thing. Brain needs glucose and oxygen. So around 2 a.m., it says, hey, adrenals, I need a glucose hit to keep going. If your adrenals are healthy, you'll give it some cortisol. Cortisol liberates stored sugar in the form of glycogen from liver and muscles to glucose. Brain gets its glucose, you stay asleep. There we go. If for some reason there's not there's dysfunctional cortisol for whatever reason, you may get epinephrine instead, or adrenaline, which does the same thing. It'll liberate glycogen to glucose, brain gets its fuel, but now you're running from a tiger when you wake up. You wake up and you've got that adrenaline hit, right? Which could be sweating, could be some heart racing, could be anxiety and ability to shut the mind off, right? Looking for the exit sort of thing. So, it might be the adult potty training, it might be the vegetables, and it might be blood sugar or some combination of the three. So if it's the blood sugar play, what I would do is before bed, have a little snack of just protein and fat. So maybe a handful of trail mix, maybe a half an avocado and a couple bites of chicken breast, something like that. And the body can convert protein and fat to carbs as needed. So it'd be more of a slow carb drip that way. We're not really worried about carbs with you. But that's usually where I start. If that helps, great, there we are. If that doesn't help, then maybe we want to move to an actual carb source before bed and see if that helps. And so, we'll, again, trial and success. We're working, let's try this, let's try this. And if one of those strategies helps, then your blood sugar was dropping too low overnight. And so that, there's work to do there still. If that's not it, and it's the fluid thing, great. Or if it's the vegetable thing, great. But oftentimes it's a blood sugar play.
Okay. Interesting. Really interesting.
Yeah, came. Finally. Nice, Kim. I just got your blood today. That was drawn on November 5th. So COVID's slowing it all down. You're on mute if you're trying to talk to me.
I said it's all those COVID tests that are taking precedence.
Right, all those false positives.
Yeah.
Did you guys see my post yesterday?
I
Yeah.
didn't-
Let me end with this real quick. It's fairly old news to you guys, but let's just do it anyway. All right. So I shared this last night on Facebook and Instagram. So this study came out here. It's not even actually published yet. The manuscript has been accepted. But as you can see, the title is Viral Cultures for COVID-19 Infectious Potential Assessment, a Systematic Review. And so these guys wanted to see, okay, the people who are testing positive on PCR, can we culture virus from it, right? Because if we could culture virus from a person who tests positive from the swab, then we'd say, oh, that is infectious potential. Because look, in the conclusion, complete live viruses are necessary for transmission of COVID, not fragments. fragments are what's identified by the PCR, all the things that, all the tests they're running saying everyone's positive, cases are exploding, shut the world down again. All right. Well, again, I believe it was last week, we talked about PCR testing and cycle thresholds. It might have been 2 weeks ago, but basically PCR is polymerase chain reaction. That's the testing they're doing. They're looking for RNA fragments of the virus. And you might remember that, and this study says it too, a cycle threshold greater than 30 is associated with non-infectious samples. Okay, so anyone above 30, any body that's running testing and running it at cycle thresholds greater than 30, they're finding non-infectious samples. So look here, CDC standard is to run it at 40 cycle thresholds. North Carolina is running it at 37. So all these positives are false positives. All right, you can't culture a virus above 24 cycle thresholds. So all of these are just made up, okay, or basically false positives. Those with high cycle thresholds are unlikely to have infectious potential in the article right there, okay?
I have a question.
Yeah.
Is that kind of related to when they say people have the virus, but they're not symptomatic? Is that
Well,
how they're getting that?
Well, basically, all these, the majority of the people testing positive are asymptomatic. So they're just saying they're asymptomatic because they ask them, have you had cough, sniffles, you know, whatever. That's how they're basing it off asymptomatic. No, they're not then trying to culture for virus and saying, no, we're not getting anything cultured. I wish they would do that, because then it would show how, I mean, it'd just be another data point of how ridiculous this is. But no, why they're asymptomatic? Because they don't have COVID.
That's what I'm getting at.
They're
They don't
running it
have
at freaking 40 cycle thresholds.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
the study I showed you last week, I can pull it up here again, I think, if I'm fast. Let's see which one.
So this one here is on your Facebook page?
Yeah. So here's another one. Whoops. I'll switch over. This study from last week that I showed you, a cycle threshold of 35 is a value they use to report a positive result. Less than 3% of those are positive. So at 35, you've got 97% false positives.
This
All right.
on your Facebook page too?
This was in the video I did last week or the week before.
Yeah, I was trying to find that.
What, the video?
Yeah.
Okay, I can send you. I'll email you the link
Could
directly.
you? Thank you.
Yeah. So regardless of whether we're using, you know, this study or the quote unquote CDC standard, which is 40, you know, it's 97 to 100% false positives. Look, this study says, where's my pointer? The odds of live virus culture reduced by approximately 33% for every 1 unit increase in cycle threshold. Okay, so the study we just said at 35, a cycle threshold of 35, there's 97% false positives. Well, if the CDC standard is 40, then when we go to 36, virus culture is reduced by a third. 37, another third. 38, another third. Well, there's 100%. 39, another third. 40, another third. So the CDC standard is 160% less likely to culture a virus than the 97% false positives that the other study was talking about. So yeah, it's a whole lot of nothing, of course. And so of course they're asymptomatic because they're not infectious, because they're being tested with high cycle threshold testing. They're running, you know, and again, I said last week, the inventor, last name Mullins, got a I believe a Nobel Prize for inventing PCR testing. He said with his own words, this should not be used to diagnose anything.